It is election day. No, that is not an April Fool's joke. Voters in both Wisconsin and Florida are going to the polls today in races that could be a litmus test for how Americans feel about President Trump. Wisconsin voters will choose their next state Supreme Court justice with majority control of the court at stake. The race has drawn national attention and massive spending on both sides, including from the president's friend and advisor and the world's richest man, Elon Musk. Also in Florida, let's shift to Florida now. They're holding two special elections for the House that could dramatically impact the Republican majority. So joining me now to talk about this is political director Avery Harper and contributing political correspondent Rachel Bade. Thank you both for joining me. Avery, you're here in studio. So break down these three races for us.
Right, like you mentioned, I think all three of these races are potential indicators of how voters are feeling about Trump post-November. It's also going to be a litmus test for and a test of Elon Musk's political influence, especially in that Wisconsin Supreme Court race there. $90 million have been spent on both of the candidates, and he's the biggest donor in that race, and so we'll see what happens there. Democrats there have been using Elon Musk as a mobilizing factor to try and get folks out to vote for the liberal candidate in that case. And then, of course, it's also about some of the issues that are going to come before the court in Wisconsin. Issues like reproductive rights, labor unions, collective bargaining, and also the redrawing of congressional districts. Redistricting is it has implications for the balance of power in Washington because Republicans are really counting on those razor-thin majorities in the House in order to push forward on Trump's agenda.
There's certainly a lot at stake. Rachel, I want to turn to you. You're reporting in Politico that some Republicans are actually, they want to see their party take a beating tonight. So tell us, why is that?
Little counterintuitive, right, Stephanie? Let me just clarify, first of all, Republicans are not talking this way behind the scenes about all these races. Certainly not about these two House races down in Florida. I mean, as Avery was just mentioning, those races are must win for them. I mean, they want to pass Donald Trump's agenda here in Washington. They're already having trouble doing that with their razor-thin margin. If they lose these races, that's even tougher. So they need to win those. But my colleague Jonathan Martin at Politico has this amazing piece about what Republicans are saying privately about the Wisconsin election, and that's where things are different. Basically, one Republican told him that an April 1st massacre, politically speaking, in Wisconsin would be a beautiful thing. This is a GOP lawmaker. Why are they saying this? They're saying this privately because behind the scenes, a lot of Republicans, frankly, think Elon Musk is toxic. They think that he is becoming a drag on them politically, and they're looking at their own seats. They're thinking about the midterms, and a lot of these Republicans in these sort of swingy, difficult districts are worried that what he is doing is going to hurt them and keep them from coming back to Washington. So some Republicans who are worried about this as a political liability, worried about him, are thinking maybe if things go terribly in Wisconsin, it will send a signal to the White House, to President Donald Trump, that it's time to put Elon Musk to the side, and that if they do that sooner rather than later, it will not hurt them in the midterms.
And that's probably very surprising for some other Republicans to hear that is the mindset, that's the thinking. So Avery, what does a good night look like realistically for both parties here?
Well, in Wisconsin, I think you're going to see a much closer race just because of the even split of the electorate in Wisconsin. In Florida, listen, these are ruby red districts. These are places where Trump won by double digits. And so I think anything less than a blowout for Republicans in that state is going to be a warning shot to the GOP. And for Democrats, you're going to see them start to talk about that as a means of getting folks and making headway with Republican voters ahead of midterms, because that's their real next big chance to try and reclaim some power in Washington, where they have really little power right now.
Certainly a litmus test, as we mentioned earlier. And Rachel, what lessons are political strategists taking from these races that could play into the midterms next year?
I think it really depends, Stephanie, on the margin tonight. I mean, Republicans are saying that they think they're going to win these two seats in Florida, but By how much? Is it a razor thin margin? I mean, Donald Trump, if you look at the Mike Waltz district, for example, he carried that district by something like 30 points just a few months ago. And right now polling has, the Republican running in that seat within like a margin, a 1 point margin of error, 1 point with the Democrat. So, if the Democrat wins, this is going to be a huge wake-up call to Republicans, but it's going to be a wake-up call even if it's a close race, because these shouldn't be close races. And if they are, it sends a signal to Republicans that they need to do something different in the next, year and a half before the midterms, try to sort of change things up here, because what they're doing perhaps is not resonating the way they thought it would.
All right, we will see how these races shape up. Thank you both for joining me, Avery Harper and Rachel Bade. Thank you.